What's up guys, Ace Pilot 10 here, and today I'm going to start off a series on Java, Bukkit, and Spigot plugin tutorial. So, assuming you already have Eclipse downloaded, if you don't, I will have a link to a instructional video on that in the description. But we're going to open up Eclipse and get started on our first project. In this episode, we're going to be going over variables as well as setting up your first project. So, if we go over here and make a new workspace, and let that load. We're going to start a brand new project. All you have to do is go to your Package Explorer, right click, select New Project, and scroll down to Java Project. Basically, this is our all-together workpiece. This is our entire, whether it be a plugin, a program, this is what holds everything. And we can name this whatever we want, so I'll just call this tutorial. Now, inside of projects, we can have multiple packages, and a package is not required, but they keep everything organized and are very useful. A package basically is a way to organize classes, and to use a package, we just create a new one by clicking on our project and go to new package. The typical package name consists of a backwards URL. So for this, I'm going to name it me.acepilot10.tutorial. Now that we have our new package here, you'll see that it is white. It is not looking like a box. That's because there's no classes inside of it. It's empty. So if we go ahead and make a new class in the package, now our class is what gets compiled. Our class holds all of our code. We can have as many of these as we want. We can use them as objects. So let's get started. We'll call this main class, or just main. And you can name this whatever you'd like. Now, here is our class. This is where all of our code goes in. Now, we start off with our package declaration. This just lets our program know that it is located inside of the me.acepilot10.tutorial package. Here's our code for our class. The visibility is public. The type is a class, and the name of the class is main. And I'll get into what all of this means in a later time. So if we get started off, Java is a very object-oriented programming language. Now that will become more clear to you as you begin learning Java. One of the biggest used things in Java that are essential to making anything are variables. All a variable is just like in math class. It is a name that holds a specific data. Now the data we can have, there are many of them, I think about 8, and those are called primitive data types. There's actually more, but there's about 8 primitive data types, so we can go ahead and start listing those off. First, we have a byte, which is a binary digit. We have a short, which is a number, a long, which is also a number, and finally an int, which is a number, and it stands for integer. Just like in math. We also have our float, which is a decimal, and our double, which is a decimal. And we have our Boolean and char. Our Boolean is a very useful thing in Java. It returns equal. It's either true or false. That's it. So basically, yes or no. A char it stands for character, and we can use these inside of little single parentheses, quotation marks. So like, if you just want capital letters, that's a character right there. Now, our byte, which is a binary digit, the difference between all of these is the different binary digit size. So a byte has one byte long. A short can be 2 bytes long. A long can be 4 bytes, as an int can be 6 bytes. My bad, 8 bytes. A float can be 4 bytes. And a double can be 8 bytes. What this means is that's just the size. Like an int can go up to about 2 billion. A long and a short, those both. God, I can't talk. They both can go smaller numbers, smaller, bigger. It's just the size that matters. So typically, so far, when you start out, all you're gonna really need is ints and doubles. So you will see these along the way, but you'll be using ints and doubles much more. Then to declare now we're gonna learn how to actually use these in our code. A variable has a specific Java has to recognize the specific syntax you put it in. So this is how we do it. We use data type, the name of the variable, and then it could just end there and equal null or 0 if it's an int. Numbers, if it ends up where you do not initialize it, you don't make it equal anything, the compiler will make it 0. Or if it's a car or a string, which we'll get into later, it'll return null, which means non-existent, nothing. So back to here, we can initialize it with an equal sign and whatever it equals. So whatever. Now we also have something called a string, which is it is a very, very important part of Java. It's basically just words. So a string is words. And so basically a string is just words. So a string is not considered a primitive data type yet. It is used just as much and is just as important as primitive data. So an example of a string could be, they're used in quotation marks. So an example could be, hello, YouTube. Now, now we're going to make an actual variable. A variable, so if we go to our syntax here, and we say we want it to be a number, an int, we would say int our number equals 5. So now we have a int variable which equals 5. So now in our code we can now call our number and it'll be 5. It'll just return 5. And that's pretty much it. Now we can make, for every data type, we can make a variable. So a double or double equals 0.0. And every variable is closed off with a semicolon. By the way, that's just Java syntax. We can have a string variable. String welcome message equals hello, how's it going? So now that you get the point, now I'll show you how it could be useful in our code. Now I'm going to make a method which we'll get into next episode. So now we can now use these variables in our code. So for example, if we wanted to print out the welcome message right here whenever the program starts, we could just say system, we're going to print out welcome message. So then that's giving me an error because this is not static. And I spelled it wrong. God. So now if we go ahead and run this program, we have it print out our variable. We can also have it print out a number. So if we wanted a private int cool number equals 102, we can then say system.out.println the cool number is, and that's also not static. And when we run that, here we have the console print out hello, the welcome message, which is hello, how's it going? And then it prints out our number. The cool number is 102. Now we can also use math in this, such as adding, subtracting, dividing, multiplying, and a million other things. So if we wanted to take the number, which is the cool number, and add 5 to that, we could just say the original cool number is cool number, so that way it prints out the first number. Then we say cool number equals cool number plus 5. We could also just do cool number plus equals 5, but that's a bit harder to understand, I find. So basically all that's going here is we take an int, we say it equals another int plus another int. So it's just saying this variable is equal to number plus number. So now we want to print out our new number. The new cool number is cool number. And there you see it adds 5. Now we could do many things, but I believe this about wraps up this first video on variables. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll be posting more tutorials very frequently.